The Game Schooler Podcast is a weekly audio show that educates new and experienced gamers about the awesomeness of tabletop gaming. In this week's episode, we'll cover Australis, our game of the week, feature Kosmos and a publisher spotlight on the School of Gaming, and wrap it up by revealing our High-Five Calliope Games. Welcome to the Game Schooler Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Kotecki, along with my co-host, Dr. Michael McCabe. How's it going, Michael?
What's happening, Doug? Nothing like starting out the episode with a case of the giggles and happening to do a couple of takes here. Let us know that we're human and we're trying to get better as podcasters. That's a good start, right?
It was blunderful.
Yeah, there you go, Dad puns. We're here. That's what you tune in for. How's everybody doing? How are you doing?
Good. I've got some interesting follow-up and awesomeness that will bleed into one another. Last week, we talked about our favorite drafting games.
We did.
And one of them that was high on my list was the game Seven Wonders.
It was.
And I lamented that I wish I could get it to the table more frequently.
You did?
A couple of nights ago, my wife, out of nowhere, said, the youngest was in bed. We were just kind of hanging around. The oldest child was bored. And we're like, well, let's play a card game or something quick. And my daughter was complaining that she doesn't want to learn new games, as kids do, and family members of gamers often say, why can't we just play the games we already like? And so we were kind of going down that little rabbit hole, and my wife says, hey, what about that one game we used to play when we first started playing? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the one with where you pick the cards out and you're making it's like a history one. And I'm like, Seven Wonders? And she's like, yeah, that's it. And so we ended up playing it. I started setting it up. My oldest daughter said peace and checked out. And my middle daughter stepped in and she said,
awesome.
I want to play. And so we played one game that night, way past bedtime. And then we played another game. And I am happy to report that my 10-year-old daughter won both times.
Congratulations.
I came in second and third place,
right
respectively.
Where you belong. That's how you get people to keep playing with you, though. I mean, great moments.
I was trying to crush them.
I doubt that.
The cards did not go my way.
Doug, that's awesome.
So it was pretty cool. It was a very happy accident, as Bob Ross would say. And just very coincidental that we had just talked about it, and about 2 days after recording.
Well,
what about that game?
And how about the joys of just summertime, right? You
Yeah.
talk about different seasons. You can blow past a bedtime with a 10-year-old because we're having fun. Maybe you usually go to bed now Doug's family is much more routinized and organized than mine.
5:30 in the afternoon, right after dinner.
For us, 10 p.m. in the summertime, and maybe you stay up till 10:30 or 11. No, it's that's good stuff, man. I have some follow-up, too, that I think will also bleed into what's awesome. My follow-up is from a few episodes ago. I'm calling this the episode 222 follow-up. We played 3 chapters as a family for the first time. I talked about doing it, and yeah, my 9-year-old, I think, loved it. My wife was it's okay, but I think she's going to come around to playing it as soon as she gets the combos right and, destroys all of us. Just a fantastic game. And so I obviously, if you're listening to episode 226, you probably listened to episode 222, but that game is readily available in North America all over the place right now. So check out 3 chapters from Amigo. I do think it's going to be an award winner for a lot of different categories, and I hope it gets some love and makes some noise because it's a game that I want to push out to people. Then also, do you remember who we interviewed in episode 220? Oh, go ahead. You had some 3 chapters.
Before you move on, that was we did actually play that before we played Seven Wonders. That was the new one that we tried. and went
Come
over
on, that's awesome.
really well. It was one that in most cases with a game like that, there once you see it played the first time, then you can see the wheels start turning of, okay, now I see where I might be able to do more and things like that. But there was still, even for a first time play, there was plenty of opportunities where they caught me off guard or were making connections that I wasn't expecting the first time through. So that's Amigo's got a winner there, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we interviewed Andrew Bosley in episode 222, and I was out and about for work, and as I want to do, I like to tour friendly local game stores on my lunch, or while other people are happy houring it up, I'll walk around, and I found these Everdell playing cards. So shout out to Andrew Bosley, because I thought I was done with all things Everdell when I went complete collection. But as you know, and as our listeners know, Nerds is a wildly popular game in our house, and you kind of need your own deck of cards. And I thought, this bicycle deck of cards that's older than any of the children in my house, not going to work anymore.
Not cutting it.
Needed an upgrade. So got out the old $14.99 and invested in original art Douglas and the Everdell with its own case. I'll tell you, Tabletop Tycoon knows how to get my money once in a while, and they were successful.
When you're out, just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in.
Yeah, and then that brings me. So then I was on, Andrew Bosley's Discord channel, and I was looking around, and he posted a message saying that the folks at Genius Games had picked up some of the IP from
Elf Creek.
Yeah, so I was like, ooh, maybe Santa's Workshop will be finding its way into my house eventually, because
hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, Andrew Bosley's done some art with Elf Creek in the past. Merchants of the Dark Road, friend of ours, did the insert for that game, and also the Santa's Workshop, the beautiful version. I do believe that's also some Andrew Bosley art. Not the Rio Grande clip art version. Doug's words, not mine. Go back and listen to the episode. Just direct quote from Doug, not me. I love Rio Grande.
I believe I would have said hot garbage, but
so just some Andrew Bosley follow-up. His art is really amazing, and it led to a full conversation with my wife, who's an art teacher, just talking about the whole impact of AI art and his art and how he creates.
Sure.
And so just wanted to follow up on that, and there's some good stuff out there that's happening.
Yeah. All right, cool. Our spotlight game this week is...
No. I have a What's
more.
Awesome. This one might go long. Yep, I'm sorry. Just, you know what? You're ready for the spotlight. No, I'm going to get into it now, because this is on my mind, Doug, and you don't have to say anything, but I believe we are in a golden age of solo games. And so for What's Awesome with Gaming this week is, I think that from 2023 to now, we are in a golden age. And what I mean by that, Castles of Burgundy Special Edition, you've got this widely recognized awesome game, Castles of Burgundy. How can you make it better? Well, guess what? Let's get an amazing designer to design a solo version exclusive to this. And you got the Chateaumois, right? The Chateaumois is the solo game that comes in that special edition of Castles of Burgundy. Galactic Cruise, you're playing against Rachel. I talked about that recently. So these are hobby level games, Chip Theory's Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Do you want to go out and buy the Switch 2, or do you want to buy Chip Theory's Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era? Because they're going to cost you the same. But the whole game, it's amazing. And then solo only, Chip Theory has 20 strong, and there's many others from them. But these are highly competitive solo games. They're fully functioning. They're built around a solitaire game. And then you get into the cooperative games that can also be played solo, such as Return to Dark Tower. Iridia is another one that's got a lot of buzz right now. And it just seems to be that there are games that are great at one. And I don't know how long that's going to go, but I do think that right now, and I'm just looking through my collection, being like, this is incredible. These are games that I really enjoy playing. And some of the games, frankly, I haven't enjoyed as much when I'm playing with my game group because of other reasons. Maybe it's just me,
Doug.
But sometimes, no, not at all. But a modular board can bring some problems, Doug. You know, if the board is constantly changing and slowing down for everybody, that's very different than if I get to choose how the board is going to emerge over the 10 days that I'm playing this, adventure role-playing game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was just one thought. And I was like, I'd been thinking about it. I kind of jotted it down. I was like, I'm going to talk about this on the show because I do think we are in a golden age for solo gaming. And I don't know how long that's going to last, but I think we're in it.
Well, and I think it applies to two-player games as well. I think just the idea of at one point solo gaming was kind of a throwaway, and two-player games were, well, we can do some simplified stuff, but we can't really give you that full gaming experience. And those two things have changed. They're not just simple throwaway things. They are complete gaming experiences, whether that's a solo or two-player. So I think you're spot on there.
Well, I think there were some games that ramped up to it, like Behind Me is Tapestry. That has a great little solo, but I wouldn't say that it was designed around the solo. It's just James Tegmeyer built an awesome little solo bot through the Ottumwa Society or whatever those folks do who make the solos for Stonemaier, that studio. So it's, I think we are in a time where you can have a collection of solo and two-player games and still have awesome games.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Michael, before we move on? All right. So our spotlight game this week is Line It from Gigamic from 2023. Gigamic. From designer Tim Juretsky, and the artist is Joey and Grumpy. Had to recheck that to make sure it wasn't a spelling correction there, but the artist is Joey and Grumpy. 2 to 5 players, 20 minutes. This is a family game. In Line It, you build an ascending or descending line of numbered cards to score points. Will you play it safe and bank the points to start a new line, or will you keep trying to add to the line to claim jackpots? The deck consists of cards in 4 colors numbered 1 through 100 and 6 bet cards numbered 3 to 5. Shuffle the deck, then lay out cards in the market equal to 2 more than the number of players. On your turn, you must take a card from the market, which you can either add to your line or your hand. A line can be either ascending or descending based on the second card you place in the line. Another tricky aspect of Line It is that you can only have 2 cards in your hand at any time.
Strict hand limit. Sorry.
So at any point during your turn, you may play a card from your hand or score a line. If you are unable to add to your line from the market or play one from your hand, you must score your line and start a new one. When scoring a line, you discard 3 cards from your line and put the rest of the number cards into your scoring pile. Each card in your scoring pile is worth 1 point regardless of the number on the card. You may also score bet cards. To win points on a bet card, you need to play the corresponding number of cards in your line after the bet card is placed. If you complete a bet, you'll earn extra points, but if you fail, you'll lose points at the end of the game. At the end of each round, after all players have selected a card, the remaining cards are organized by color and placed into jackpot stacks. If you add a third card of one color to your line, put all of the cards from that color's jackpot pile into your scoring stack. When there are not enough cards to play a round, the game ends. Each player has an opportunity to add 1 card from their hand to their line and then complete their final line. The player with the most points wins. So can you time your lines to claim the ultimate jackpot, or will your strategy crumble like a house of cards? So this is a really interesting game, and I am disappointed, almost angry, that this has a 5.9 on Board
You went
Game
there
Geek.
early. I was going to throw some love on it, but you went there. So let's talk about it. Yeah, the Board Game Geek ratings are off. They're jaded. They're, when you've got people who say only played it on BGA and give it a 3. If you only played it on BGA, please keep your numerical rating to yourself. Because until you play this game at a table and you are holding 2 cards and you get to decide the order and when to end it and when to go forward and when to push your luck, there's a ton of fun here. We spent a significant amount of time when I logged my plays from our initial plays of this game, looking at Board Game Geek and talking about how people had it wrong. Didn't we? I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. And not to say that this is a deep, complex game, but neither is Flip 7.
It's a simple, straightforward game that 8-year-olds can play that plays 2 to 5 players.
Yeah.
It plays in 20 minutes. You can teach it in 3 minutes. You can teach it while you play it. It's a game that you could play in a classroom, at a cafe, at a tavern, at your house. Probably not at a park because the cards would fly all over the place. But if you wanna hold that against it, this is a fun game. Here's where I think some of the issue is. There's a lot of fun card games out there right now, folks.
Sure.
I mean, we are in an era where there's a ton of them. But where Line It stands out, I think, is in that decision that you get to make of how far you're going to go and when you're going to end it to try to score some points. So,
yeah. Certainly I love the ascending and descending mechanism, which is very similar to like Ohanami, and there it seems to be a mechanism that I gravitate towards. So I'll throw that out there. But the idea of the pushing your luck, how far can you get to go? But the element of the jackpots is really the thing that really makes you push farther. And that idea, those fun moments where, and this would be a thing that's, I think, lost on Board Game Arena, which is there's moments where one or two players are chasing after the same jackpot. You have 2 yellows, I have 2 yellows. It's a big, huge jackpot over there. And one of us gets there first.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I have this yellow card. I was going to get that. And now the jackpot is empty. And
Meanwhile,
I feel like
the person sitting between us had been building up both the green and the red, and we both realized, like, oh, they're probably going to take both of those jackpots, and there's nothing we can do about it. Why weren't we looking at that?
But to when that happens on Board Game Arena, you don't see the reaction.
No, you don't feel it.
That jackpot's gone. But the big grin on Michael's face when he takes that yellow one, knowing that I would, like, those are the moments that make a game. Not necessarily the action of, oh, you got the yellow jackpot. It's, you got the yellow jackpot when I was trying to go for the yellow jackpot, or I just walked into this and now it's not there anymore. It's not as good. So those are cool little wrinkles to the game. Even the bet cards, and it's like if you place down a 5 bet card, you have to play 5 cards after that.
Right.
Which is like, well, okay, if it's one of your second cards.
Yeah.
But when do you push it?
Did you get this for a review copy at Gamma or one of those? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can give a louder endorsement than this. Okay. People who've been listening from day one, the Steffens, the Counselor Mikes, you'll know that there was a time where I was buying a lot of games. Right now, nope. This is a game I will be buying at Gen Con. I will walk over to the booth. I'm not going to say, hey guys, we covered. No, I'm going to walk over. I'm going to get out my wallet. I'm going to buy Line It because it's a game that I want to have in my house, right back on my little Calyx half shelf of card games, because it fits so well in so many different instances. It's a 15 to 20 minute card game where you could talk a little trash to the people at the table, have a little bit of fun, push a little bit of luck, and put it away and keep on moving with your evening. I don't have a ton of games in my collection like that. This is also a game that I am fairly confident if my wife likes it, it's going to disappear into her classroom.
You'll be
and I will
2 copies.
only see it in the summertime. No, I won't buy 2 copies. I'm not going that extreme, Doug. We got space issues. Look behind me here in the house. But it's one that's like, okay, I'm going to get it. It's going to disappear into the classroom, and I'll play it in the summertime when it comes home, like Hughes and Q's and some others like that.
Yeah.
I just think it's really approachable. It's really fun, and you have to know what it is.
Yeah. All right, so that is our spotlight game, Line It. Before we move on, I want to remind everybody to
5.9. What's
it's
wrong
ridiculous.
with people? Oh, we're still live. Sorry.
Watch, subscribe, like our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. If you could spread the word about the podcast, leave a review on the platform of your choice. That would be awesome as well. And if you have any questions or comments, reach out to us, email@gameschooler.com. We would love to hear from you. Now let's move on to the game of the week.
The game of the week. The game of the week is an in-depth look at a game we think you should try if you get the chance. This week's game is Australis, designed by Leo Calvini and Alessandro Zucchini. Australis is published by Kosmos, was released in 2024, 2 to 4 players, plays in an hour, verified by the Game Schooler podcast, ages 10 plus, and this is a family game, I believe. Maybe Doug doesn't. We can debate that as we go. Doug, why don't you give us an overview of the game?
It's 100% a family game. Dive into the warm waters of the East Australian Current, where sea turtles glide and coral reefs teem with life. In Australis, you draft dice to grow schools of fish, settle corals, and race your turtle to earn the most points. Over 5 rounds, players draft dice from a central pool, choosing colors to unlock actions. White dice allow you to choose 1 or 2 advantage cards and score bonus points. Advantage cards can provide a one-time bonus or an ongoing ability that activates each time you select the corresponding color dice. Yellow dice allow you to catch fish and score bonus points, and the fish score points at the end of each round based on the amount of food you have collected throughout the game. Blue dice move your sea turtle on the Eastern Australian Current to acquire food for your fish, break ties during coral reef scoring, and provide points each round based on how far you've traveled. Purple dice allow you to place 1 coral piece of your color on the coral reef number on the chosen dice. Players will score points for having a majority presence in each reef. And lastly, the red die gives you the starting tile for the next round and the greatest advantage during the dice competition at the end of each round. Any players that selected blue, purple, or red dice during the previous round participate in the dice competition. In the competition, all players roll their dice, and all of the dice with the lowest value are eliminated. Players with dice remaining continue this process until there is only 1 player left standing. The player selects either a gold or silver scoring tile, and the second place player gets the remaining tile. The game ends after 5 rounds, and the player with the most points earned throughout the game wins. So can you navigate the current to create a dazzling underwater empire, or will your strategy sink like a clownfish in a storm? So that is how you play Australis. This is a great game that has a little bit of everything.
Yep.
There's drafting, area control, racing, set collection, engine building, and dice rolling in it. And so I think overall, although I may not be a huge fan of some of these mechanisms, if they're by themselves or the whole game is based around them, they all work for me here.
Yeah, I felt like this game was designed for me.
Yeah, agreed. Me as well.
Yeah, and we're 2 very different gamers. But it just the way that it moved. I also thought you did a great job at teaching the game, and so I wanted to jump in on the front end, right after the overview and as we get into gameplay. Was this an easy game for you to teach, or was it one where you kind of had to walk around the board and teach the different phases? And
I feel like it's fairly easy to teach because of how well the parts are broken up. I mean, I feel like if we were looking at the board while I did the overview description, outside of a couple little details, you'd have a very good idea how to play the game. And I think they just all flow together really well because, you're drafting the colored dice. Each die is related to a different kind of area or section of the board, so you can explain both of those at the same time. I think it works really well, which is what makes it really approachable as a game.
Yeah, and I am a big fan of, Leo Calvini's designed over 100 games. So, and we've covered Kazuka in the past, but I am a big fan of when designers who've designed a lot of games exercise restraint in using multiple mechanisms. And I feel like there's actually a lot of restraint in this game. You need to do a little bit of everything. You can't
Yeah.
spam a certain section and still, I'm going to say win, but even have fun. Like you've got to push a little bit early to get some turtles out so you can get some bonus. You've got to do a few things early so that you can unlock things mid-game and be in that race. And I just enjoyed it.
Well, I think it's I love that they're scoring each round, and I think you do have to do a little bit of everything, but you also can't do everything.
Yeah.
Which I think gives everybody, like with 5 different colored dice, it gives everyone kind of the space to pursue their own lane. I know in one of the games that you and I had played, you went heavy after the fish.
Yeah.
And I was going heavy after moving my turtle up. And so it's like you're only drafting three dice around.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to do everything. If I'm moving my turtle, that means that I'm not collecting fish. And if I'm, putting coral reefs out there, that means I'm not moving my turtle as much as maybe I could. And but I also want to draft some of those dice so I can get into that competition at the end of the round. And so
you want to draft specific dice too that are tied to cards that you've gotten earlier in the game, so that you get the bonuses off of them. So they're all those things that you want, right?
Yeah,
to do.
Your comment on the restraint, I think, is a really good one. This is a well-developed game by an experienced designer that knows when to put in and where to stop, because this very easily could have been a bloated disaster of a game, but as a result, it's awesome.
Well, and if it went on for 10 more minutes, I couldn't put this in the Game of the Week segment, Doug. If this game went on if there was extra downtime, if there's extra lag, if there's extra, I have to study the board to maximize, there's a flow and a movement to the game. This game is an hour. It is an hour from setup to takedown. You can get this done in an hour. This can be a weeknight game that you can get this to your family game night if you have one. Game group, if you're a group that always plays, we do 2 games. They both got to be under 2 hours. You could get Australis in multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the production, Michael?
That's great. I'm a big fan. I like the wooden dice. The colors, I was nervous about seeing it on Board Game Geek when it was released at Essen. Frankly, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. And then getting to play it and how the graphic design and everything, I was like, this is brilliant. I can play this. This is great. Cool. Production is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's got that, if you're looking for that solid classic Euro production with wooden components, it's got bright art. It has kind of Finding Nemo vibes if you like that type of aesthetic. The only thing that and I'm glad you clarified as far as the colors, because the things I had that you might want to be aware of is not knowing if that's difficult for colorblind players. But the other part that you should just be aware of, and this is not a problem with the game, is that I think younger players will have struggle picking a path. And what I mean by that is saying, like, what should I do? There's that moment where you get to pick a die, and it's one of those things where everything that you're picking, every die that you take has a benefit. It's going to do something good. And there is no right or wrong answer. You just have to play.
Yeah.
And so you may have that situation with younger players where, like, I don't know, which one should I take? And the answer is just take one.
Give it
They're
a try.
all fine.
We'll go.
Like,
yep.
Pick a color. I mean, there might be some where it's like, if you're going to take a white die and there's one with 2 advantage cards and 2 victory points, take that one over the thing. But like, as far as what color to pick, it's wide open. And so I can imagine that being a little bit daunting for younger players until they get used to seeing how everything kind of works together.
Yeah, but similar to a game we talked about earlier in this episode and a few weeks back, 3 chapters. I think that initial game is a teaching and learning game, and we're just gonna acknowledge that. So as I am teaching this game, I'm letting everyone at the table know I will finish in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I'm not trying to win this game. So whatever questions you have, kids or other people's kids, bring them to me. and being very open and out in front that first time that you're teaching it will help in getting this game back to the table quickly. Because there's a few different things that are happening, almost mini games, not like other games we've talked about, not super asynchronous roles doing this or that. But no, there's in this phase, we're doing this. I love the little bonus at the end. I do. Yeah. I love that bonus at the end that helps you to score out and push forward. And so I think that the joy and the engagement of the game can help to bring it back if the person has the heart of a teacher who's teaching the game and not the heart of I'm going to dominate you all. So,
yeah, and I think it is one that, at least for the first couple of times, it does benefit from. The game manager is not really the right term, but somebody just kind of guiding you through the turns and rounds and phases.
It is. I mean, not in the sense of an RPG, but I think you're spot on. Have a coach, but having a game manager, a teacher. Yeah, I'm here as a teacher first,
going
player
to the
second.
next phase. Now we're doing this, kind of running it through the dice competition. Was this the one that we played? Were there some pounding on the table when dice weren't rolled properly in this game?
Not by me.
No, I know.
I was happy. Dice were kind to me. We can look. I knew that right when I looked at the first logged play. I was like, yeah, the dice rolled well. That wasn't me. I had the good luck that hour.
All right. Well, outside of raging anger, what kind of skills do you think we can get out of a game like this?
Oh, I think we have, time management and risk management are very closely aligned in this game because of how the game moves with the rounds and the structure. And at some point, if somebody just plays it safe repeatedly, they're going to get left behind. This is a game that rewards, I'm not going to say careful, but rewards some risk management where, I need to get that card, or I need to draft that dice, and I need to go in on this part right now. Those are two skills that I think come out as the game goes on. The other thing, the end is somewhat abrupt. If you're not, you can. In our first game, I watched somebody get lost because I feel like they felt like they had more time than what they actually had. So maybe I'm reading into that too much just from watching somebody have the game close in on them. How about you, Doug?
I think the biggest one that I really like this game for is the competition, because you're competing on several different tracks throughout the game. There's not just one. Obviously, there's the game. Who's going to win the game? And every competitive game has that, right? But this one has that round scoring where you're watching, what the other players are doing with the fish, how many fish they're catching, and you see that little competition happen. And then you're doing an area control to see who's got the most coral in certain reefs. And so there's that competition. There's the race with the sea turtles going on, and then there's the dice rolling at the end. So the fact that there's a bunch of different little competitions going on throughout the game that give kids the opportunity to win and lose throughout the game, I think is really valuable. And that they maybe they don't do very good on this one, but then they're going to win the next one because that's what they focused on. Is a big learning avenue in this game.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in. There's a sense of discovery with and a tactical nature to the game. The game challenges players to make decisions based on currently available and frequently changing information. If I mess up what I'm about to say, please jump in so we don't offend anyone from Cosmos or anything. But you draft dice and you place them in these certain spots that will pay off and give you coral. And for me in our first game, go ahead. Yep, jump in.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's a part of the board where you can, and I'm looking at the picture right now, and I'm trying to recall exactly what happened. But if I get my coral down, I'm going to score points based on how I get it down in that spot. Am I saying that right?
No. So what you're saying is that if you have advantage cards below certain colored dice, so if I draft a yellow die and I have advantage cards below them, it may allow me to trigger other abilities. So I may be able to.
No,
Is that what
I was
you're
saying
talking
something
about?
slightly different. I was saying about getting the dice and putting them out, getting coral out on the board.
So if you take a purple die, you will place a coral out on the board based on the number on the die. So if it says 5, you will be able to put a piece of your coral in reef number 5.
Thank you.
And then that's an area majority.
So I had a moment in the game where I was going after no coral. I had this die in my hand and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I'm just kind of looking at the board. I was like, "Whoa, I could put this over there and I'm going to get some good points. I'm going to be the best points. That's the best thing for me to do right now." And there was that sense of I had a moment in the game where I was like, that was tactical thinking. And I used to get that early in the days of the show where I would connect the skills to what's happening in a first play of a game. And it was so loud. It was so strong in our play of Australis, where then I kept coming back to it as we were playing. Yep, nope, I need to be flexible here. The board is changing. I have this die. I need to place it there. And as you said in the top end of the segment, you just got to go with it. There's a little bit of improv here. Get the die, put the die out, and have some fun with it.
Yeah, it's a very opportunistic game. And I think that the final skill that I have is following that line of pick something and go with it is decision making. This game allows players to make decisions based on currently or previously available information, and you're making a decision every time you draft a die. And sometimes that decision is opportunistic. Sometimes it's, well, this maybe isn't the best die that's out there, but it's the one that will help advance me on the path I need to advance on. And the ability to make those decisions and change that of a long-term strategy or a tactical strategy is cool. You're getting 3 to 4 really important decisions every round. So that's the last skill I've got.
And not overwhelming. Just to add,
correct.
it's not overwhelming. Whereas I think even in some of the card games where you're trying to get combos to fit together, there's just something about, I have this die, I place it out, and it is immediate. I get immediate feedback about what's happening now and going forward in the rounds.
Yeah, and simple. The resolution of taking that die is simple. There's not extra steps. Even if you add those advantage cards and you have a little bit of an engine, they're not multi-step processes. It's, I get an extra fish. Ooh, I move one space here. It's that. They're very simple engine building bonuses and not comboing in a way. And I think that's what makes it a family game for me, is it's not the combos and the engine building that you can do not
they don't get in the way.
Balloon into a way that it involves processing time or slows the game down. It's very simple to process those bonuses and is what I think keeps it as a family game. What are your final thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, my final thoughts is that Australis is just a fun game. It's a new, clean Euro. I didn't think I would see family Euros that could be played in an hour that bring back that sense of discovery and wonder and fun and joy. I kind of thought that I was tapped out on those, and Australis really made me feel humble as a gamer to be like, nope, designers are still doing what they do. They're designing great games, and this is an example of it. We didn't even get into the theme. That's the other part.
Yeah.
We just locked in on the gameplay. I think there's a ton there to still continue to learn and explore. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's a great, if not one of the best examples of a Frankenstein game. And by that I mean a game that combines the right amount of several mechanisms to create a cohesive game that doesn't get bogged down by the sum of its parts, which I think is so rare to have a game that combines so many different mechanisms really well. Normally, if somebody told me that there were this many things in a single game, I would be like, that's impossible, and it may borderline be stupid to have that many in a single game. And they did it perfectly. It is flawless in the way that they handled it. And I really like this one. So that is our game of the week, Australis from Kosmos Games.
The School of Gaming. In the School of Gaming, we discuss concepts, keywords, etiquette, and helpful ideas in the world of gaming. This week, we are fortunate to have a publisher spotlight with Kosmos. Welcome to the Game Schooler Podcast, Court Sakmar. Thanks for coming back, Court.
Hi, thanks for having me back. I always love being on.
Yeah, it's great to hear about new and what's exciting and what you guys have coming out and directly from you. We get to cover, I think we've covered, we figure 3 or 4, 5 games of Kosmos since the last Gen Con. And so, although we cover a good amount, we can't cover them all. So it's always great to hear from you guys what you're excited about, what you have coming out, and what will be available.
Yeah.
So we'll just throw it right over to you and let you run wild. Pretend like we are rabid fans at Gen Con trying to get your attention at your booth and telling you to let us know everything that you have.
Yeah, and we're wearing Kosmos t-shirts. Like Doug is wearing a custom-made Dodo shirt, right? And I am just acting like I have nothing but money to give you. So just want to add some additional
You're dressed
context.
up as a Temple of Ice.
Yes.
The ideal situation.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming out this year at Gen Con. To start out with, we are going to have 2 games that are launching at Gen Con. One of which will be the first time it is available in the US, and the second of which will be the first time it is available ever anywhere. Like, it's going to be the global launch, which is very exciting. So the one that will be the first time in the US is called Masters of Crime Mosquito. So if you're familiar with our Masters of Crime series that we launched last year, it is more of that. So if you're a fan of Exit, this is kind of Exit's sister series. It's different designers, but it still has that kind of mystery element where you are going through this story where you typically are a morally gray or criminal character, and you are going to be hitting these big riddles and puzzles where you might be Google Mapsing a real location in Brooklyn, or in this one you get to go on a treasure hunt. So in this one there is a professor who is your like contact in the archaeological world, has given you a secret map, but he may or may not have also given other people this map, and somebody killed him. So you're trying to find out who killed him, and you're trying to discover treasure, and there may be a really weird B-plot about a romance novel. So it's a fun one.
Nice. And what was the other game that's coming out?
Yes, that's Dice Words. We're really, really excited about it. Actually, the designer of the game, Tim Phillips, is going to be in the booth with us pretty much all week. So Dice Words is kind of like Scrabble meets Yahtzee. So it's super simple. Everybody gets their very own set of letter dice. You're going to shake them up, roll your 7 letter dice, and in about 2 minutes, try to spell the best word that you can. So the longest word, but not just the longest, there are going to be 4 target letters in the middle. And the more of those you have in your word, the better you're going to do. So you add up the points on your tiles of your dice, and then you also times those by the amount of target letters you have. So if you have 0, you're timesing it by 0. So it's a really nice kind of quick game, really fast rounds. Also, there's a lot of customization where you can make it easier if you have kids, or just kind of go at it and see who can get the highest score. So we're really, really excited about that one. It's very like summer fun drink themed, and it has like a cute little penguin on it.
Well, I got to play that one at Gamma, and I really enjoyed it. And it's one of those where it's like, I enjoy word games, but I understand that they're not for everybody, and that sometimes they can slow down, and it feels like, well, I don't really have the greatest vocabulary. what you just said there is the max you're doing is a 7-letter word, and your dice are limited. So the speed of which it went, and you felt like, oh, I had a good round this round, and the next one, oh well, it's going fast enough, and I really am looking forward to that one because I feel like it hits the right buttons for a word game, especially in a family market.
That's great. I love word games, and I'm looking forward to checking that out. And you said it plays fast as well, right?
Yes, it's super short rounds. It's one of those games that's really nice because, for one, it's infinitely scalable. So a game comes with 4 sets of dice, but if somebody else has a copy, you
Just
can play
add
with
'em in.
8 people. It really doesn't matter. And it's very drop in and drop outable. So if you just want to come in, play a round that's literally 2 minutes, and then go, okay, I'm going to go make dinner, you can do that, which I think is really nice. It makes it very approachable for lots of different kinds of gaming.
Yeah, and settings. It sounds like a perfect
Yeah.
indoor recess and after-school program type game. There's only so many of those that are out there where you can get them to the table and play them in 10 to 15 minutes and feel like you're playing a game. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, and
we
it has
love
that.
It has that kind of educational bend too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it has that thing where it's kind of like the just one or those type of games where it's like eventually you're just like, oh, let's just play another round, and we'll just keep playing another round and another round, and the points matter, but they also don't. They can be as important as you want them to be. So yeah, that's a cool one. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really glad. It's exciting too because it is the first game that we have fully published and kind of developed in the US, which
Oh,
is
wow.
pretty exciting. Yeah, so typically a lot of our games are made in Germany first, and then they're localized here. This is one that is a US designer and was fully developed by the US Thames and Cosmos team. So really excited for people to finally get their hands on it. We're really
Yeah.
proud of it.
That's great.
Yeah, and so moving on to other games we're going to have at Gen Con, our big strategy game of the year is Australis. So it is a beautiful game about sea turtles where every player is going to have their own sea turtle that they're helping through the Eastern Australian current. So I like to kind of call this a smorgasbord game because there's a bunch of different little mechanics. Like you're doing a little bit of dice drafting, you're doing a little bit of engine building, a little bit of racing, and it's just like a little bit of everything, and you kind of have to decide, okay, where am I going to invest my time and try to be the best one at that and try to really optimize my points.
Yeah, and I love how some of those mini games within the game impact what you're going to do for the rest of the game. So if I get out to an early lead in one area, then I know, okay, this is where I'm going to put my focus. And that's a great game. In fact, that's our game of the week this week. So Doug and I just got done talking about Australis for about a half hour. That's a great game. How has that game been doing for you guys and your company? What it seems to be. I mean, we love it. Obviously, it's game of the week. But what's the reaction been with Australis so far?
Yeah, I think it's been really positive. We've been getting a lot of good feedback on it. I know people are really liking how approachable it is for a strategy game, that you don't need to know anything super in-depth. We've been having it kind of demoed at a lot of different, more local conventions this spring, with it kind of coming out in April. So now we're really excited to kind of see it take off as we head into the summer months in Gen Con. So I won't go too much in that one if you guys just spend a half hour on it.
No, we'd love to. That I'm still curious about it. Even though we spent a half hour talking about it, it's that is a game that I fell in love with on first play and just really got a hold of me. I was like, I want to play this with my family. I want to play this with my extended family. I want to show this game to people, and it plays in under an hour. And so it's one that I think you could. Set up to take down in an hour and just have a lot of fun with. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. No, that was something when I played it all the way through. I saw that it was estimated to be an hour, and I was like, it's not going to really be an hour, though. It's going to be longer. It really is an hour. It's a strategy game. You can actually do it in an hour, and I didn't believe it until I actually played it several times with different groups. But yeah, it's Australis. We have Tower Bricks coming out, which is going to be actually already came out about a week or two ago. That is going to be kind of like a cooperative puzzle game. So you have these block pieces, and everybody gets a secret information role. So my role might say, no yellow blocks can touch red blocks. And then Doug says, all yellow blocks must be diagonal. And then Michael says, the top block must be a purple or a red block. And they will never like be undoable. So like the way the game is designed is that it's never going to make it where you just can't solve it. There always is a solution. The catch, of course, is that you can't talk about what your secret rule is. And so it's just everybody kind of moving the pieces around and then checking in to see if you're all good to go or not. And it tends to turn into a giant laugh fest when I make it perfect and then Michael just changes something back over and over again. I'm like, what do you want? What do you want?
That sounds fun. Yeah, I'm curious. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a big problem-solving game. And it's nice, too, because it comes with a beginner mode, and then it comes with a couple different variants, including a solo variant, as well as just different prompt cards, so that if you've kind of worked your way through a lot of the prompts once, there's a whole other set of prompts to play with.
And how many players is that for?
That is going to be, I want to say 1 to 6. It's definitely one of those games where there's a recommended stopping point, but like, really, if you want to include more people, you can, but it might get a little overwhelming at some point in the game.
Sure.
Yeah, we recommend 1 to 6. Yep, I had that right.
Cool.
What else do you have coming out?
Yeah, speaking of kind of more fun party-ish style games, we have something that is truly a party game, which is One of Us. So this is a cooperative party game, which I think is kind of fun because I feel like a lot of party games tend to be pretty competitive. This one, you're going to have a prompt or a picture, maybe even a song. Like I think there's like Taylor Swift, Shake It Off might be the card that I pull. And then the three of us all have different colored dinosaurs that represent us, and we each have a color, like one dinosaur of every person's color, right? And so we secretly must vote on who we think the song Shake It Off by Taylor Swift reminds us of the most in our group. And then we flip it over and we all obviously voted Doug. And so we would get a point. Yeah, we would get a point for having like majority on who we think it is. So it's just a very fun kind of silly either get to know you game or kind of check how well you know each other.
Nice. Can I ask about a game that I've been curious about? And this is always where, dear listeners, we get into dicey territory because maybe this game is only available in Deutschland. Maybe it's not ever going to come here to the United States. But the game Wildwuchs, grow a 3D wildflower meadow on your tabletop. It's Casper Lab. He's a designer that, you know, we've covered a few of his games in the past. Is that a game that will be localized here in the United States at some point? Or is that just a Europe release, or am I crossing some boundaries and
thanks
making
for spoiling
Doug do some
their
edit work?
PAX Unplugged.
Hey, I don't know.
I will say at this time we've not announced our 2026 line, so I can't really say.
No, that's fine. It will not be at Gen Con. I don't need to run to you with that dodo shirt that, you know, day 2 I'd be wearing the dodo shirt. Okay, nope, that's good to know. Just planning my Gen Con shopping spree here.
Nope, not this year.
That's got to be a challenge, Court, when you have so many games on different timelines and different, localized, released in different countries at different times. How do you manage that?
There's some really great spreadsheets in the product development team has. We've got some really great product management software. They're really great at that kind of like system tracking. And then, so it's just a lot of systems we have in place to keep stuff in track.
Oh, that's great. Is there anything you'd like to tell our listeners about, or any news that you'd like to break here or confirm on the Game Schooler podcast?
Yeah, so we will have released it just very recently, but in case you haven't seen the announcement yet, we do have some really exciting stuff coming out for the gang. I know this game has been super duper hot. And we have another mini expansion that will be an exclusive for Gen Con. So it is called the Gang Mini Expansion to Tools of the Trade. So it's going to make your game harder.
Whoa. Which would be great for lower player counts.
Yeah, it's really for the game plan fans to kind of make the game harder and take it to another level. We will not be selling it. It is going to be free with purchase of anything in our booth. So you buy anything, you can have it for free. One per person, of course, while supplies last, all that good stuff. We're really, really excited about it. John and Corey did a great job. It really is like just another kind of extension, you know?
Yeah.
I got to like play test it with John and stuff as it was kind of getting finalized. And I'm like, oh, this is fun. I like this. It's hard.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. So, and that'll be available at your booth. Anybody who's going to Gen Con that makes a purchase. That's exciting.
Yeah, so what it does is it takes away all the specialist cards and it replaces it with these tools that are secret information for each player. So it gives people a little bit more player agency too.
Interesting. Yeah, that one's been a huge hit, obviously, for you and just in our respective households. I know that's gotten a ton of play at family get-togethers and things like that. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, certainly for me, I've introduced it to more I don't know if there's another game that's at that $15 to $20 price point in that box size that I've introduced to that many different groups, whether they want to play it or not. It's like, hey, you've played poker before. Sit down. I'm going to show you this game called The Gang. And, you know, my kid's like, Dad. I'm like, no, this is really good.
He
Hey,
pulls
we
out
need one more.
his green visor. He says, sit down, kids. We're going to play.
It's just wonderful, though. I mean, there's so many different moments that can happen in that game of near misses, but where you actually do succeed, or where you think like, oh, pair of jacks, these are going to carry the day, and then all of a sudden, you know, on the flop, it's like, oh no, I might have been too strong in those pocket jacks. I'm not looking very good anymore. Somebody's going to have a flush. So there's just so many different pieces with that, and the limited communication with just taking the chip and stealing the chip from others. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
though. It was our.
Well, I always love when there's like a debate back and forth between a couple of people of, no, I think mine is higher, and it goes like that chip changes every round, and then you get to the reveal and it's like they're either tied or within like one card of each other, and it's like, how, you know, you were so close, or you either got it or didn't, and just that it's such a cool moment in a game.
And Doug and I will have moments where we're stealing the chips from each. You're not listening to me. No, you're not listening to me. I'm trying to tell you I'm not going to be able to get in that safe. Well, neither am I. And other people at the table will be like, are these two okay? We did have a brief moment in audio podcasting that only happens to folks if you're actively watching on YouTube. That was a very cute and cuddly creature. That was there. Does that?
Yeah.
Do we have a name there? Do we?
Joining me, this is Bijou.
Oh, Bijou. Oh.
She's got 3 legs.
Kitty cat. Oh. How's Bijou do with 3 legs? Get around okay? Okay.
Pretty decent. She only lost her leg when she was about 8 years old, right before I started fostering her. So she's a big woman. She kind of has some spin out moments where she like her remaining back leg kind of like rudders out and she kind of skirts around corners. It's sad but funny.
Oh. Which you can laugh at as the owner, right? But then if some other people do, or if podcasters make comments, that would be out of line. So I'm not saying anything, but as the owner, you can laugh at. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. So we have Exit Catan that just came out, which will be at our booth this summer. So that will be at Gen Con. We're really excited for that. It is a collaboration with Catan, which is like such a cool brand to get to work with. You know, it's like one of those like big gaming brands that everybody knows. So it'll be really cool to have that presence in our booth this year to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Catan, which is just
awesome.
Like a big deal. Yeah.
That you are going to pull a lot of people over there. Do you get benefits if you're, making bad trades for your team, or can you not give away spoilers and Exit Catan? Like, that's clearly a lopsided
You win
trade.
the game if you actually trade somebody for sheep.
Yeah.
There are like characters that are from the games that appear in Exit Catan who you get to trade with. It's very like, from what I remember playing without any big spoilers, I thought it was pretty cozy as a game, which I know is not always what people associate
With Exit.
with Exit, you know. because it's like you're like sailing to this new land. You're just like kind of like making your new home, just kind of like exploring what's going on. A mechanic that I think is really neat is that not only is there like kind of this trading aspect with the NPCs, you also, as you go through the game, get these hexagon tiles that you get to actually lay down and build out like a Catan board in front of you, which I think is pretty cute. So I feel like they really tried super hard to like capture kind of the spirit of the world of Catan. So
Great.
Cool.
yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be other titles that get released between, early July and August, and you guys will have some surprises, and we will be there to cover them. So we really do appreciate you coming on today and sharing with us the upcoming lineup. Anything else that you want to let us know about or let our listeners know about?
Yeah, I guess just kind of keep your eyes peeled on our social media as we get closer to Gen Con. We'll continue to kind of announce more about the mini expansion as well as different deals and stuff we'll have in the booth. But yeah, thanks for having me on. We just have a lot of stuff coming out, as well as the stuff I've talked about. We'll have the Advent calendar, we'll have the Crew family, we'll have Marvelous and Caesar and Cleopatra. It's going to be an exciting Gen Con. Lots of stuff, yeah.
All right, cool. I'm looking forward to it and can't wait to see you there. So thank you so much, Court. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on. I always enjoy talking to y'all.
All right, every week, Michael and I highlight a list of games we want to play, enjoy, or spread the word about, and everybody loves lists. This week, we're taking a look at our favorite games from Calliope Games. So Calliope Games is a good little company with a great mission of bringing families together. They've got some cool company mottos that, their games need to play up to 5 players. Most of their games come unpunched or punched and ready to go.
Yep.
You can get them set up right out of the box. So something I appreciate as a family gamer. So let's dive in, Michael. What do you got for number 5?
Yeah, back in episode 223, we interviewed Chris Leader and Kevin Rogers, as well as Ken Franklin. Well, 2 of those designers, Chris Leader and Kevin Rogers, designed a game called Mass Transit. Mass Transit came out in 2021, and it is a cooperative game where you are trying to work together to build these different commuter lines. It's a smaller game. It's in a smaller, box, and you're setting out cards and trying to build networks out of this central grid together. 1 to 6 players, plays 15 to 20 minutes. Just a cool little game that I enjoy playing.
All right. Awesome. Good one there. My number 5 we talked about in episode 76, and that is Suro. I believe is there a
TSURO?
Yeah, I feel like there's a subtitle that I never write down.
Oh, I just happen to be in Board Game Geek right here. Suro is Suro. TSURO.
Okay.
They have
on the box. It's the Game of the Path. That's what I always. But in Suro, came out in 2005 from designer Tom McMurtry. It is a game in which you are placing a tile on the board and advancing your pawn, and everybody else's pawn, if they're also on that track, needs to advance, and you're trying to just stay on the board. And if you play a tile that, accidentally sends another player flying off the board, that's good for you. And so it's a really elegant game, looks really cool on the table. I don't have the $500 deluxe wood edition.
More than that, man. I think it's like 3,000 or something.
No,
it's a lot.
But anyway, a great game. My number 5, Suro.
All right. Number 4 for me was a spotlight in episode 212, and that's Enchanted Plumes, designed by Brendan Hansen. Art is by Echo Chernick, published by Calliope. No kidding here.
Shocker.
Huh? Yeah. I'm not going to say a lot about it because I'm sure it's higher or at the same point on Doug's list, so I'm not going to steal all of his thunder. But Enchanted Plumes has some awesome peacocks. It's not on his list.
No,
Didn't make
honorable
the
mention.
cut. Honorable mention. Okay, well, here's the cool thing about Enchanted Plumes. You are building... You can go back and listen to 212. We talk all about it, but you're building these pyramids up, and when you put one at the top and you decide to be done with it, you can't go any higher. So it has that same push your luck element of, like we talked about with our spotlight game from this episode with Lion, of how far do I want to go with this and when do I want to pivot. The other thing that I like about Enchanted Plumes, you kind of look across the table and realize like, oh, I can't actually do what I thought I was going to do because the other two people have the cards that I need. So I need to abandon and move forward. So that's my number 4, Enchanted Plumes.
Yeah, it has a lot of those same type of Lost City vibes in a multiplayer game. Just looked up the original Kickstarter for the luxury edition, $350, Michael.
Okay, original Kickstarter was like 4 years ago. I'll look up and see what I can get it at Noble Knight today if I want to be a human and go out and get it.
It just got fulfilled now. Took a while. So
it's 2 presidencies ago, man.
I know. Well, hey, not my fault. Don't blame me. My number 4 we talked about in episode 198, and that is Patrician Towers of Influence. Could be higher, but there's a couple of good games that I enjoy at the top of this list. Came out in 2024. The designer is Michael Schock. Also the designer of Zularetto. But a great game of just a classic Euro game with simple turns and simple mechanisms. So that's my number 4, Patrician Towers of Influence. What do you got, Michael?
Yeah, well, Game Steward had it for $7.99, Doug. It hasn't actually been at Noble Knight yet, the luxury.
That's a little less than $3,000.
But it can't actually find it. So, like, if I wanted it, I might have to go give somebody $3,000 just to get it out of their collection.
At this juncture, yes.
I'll reach out to Ray and ask, Ray, how much would it cost? Is it cheaper for me to give a kidney or to just, anyway. Yeah, I have Patrician at 2. So we have some crossover there. I'll jump into my second one and just say that game's awesome. And everything that we said about Australis, I would kind of double down on Patrician.
Sure.
Just a game that surprised me and how much I enjoy it and how much is in that box. So that's awesome. But we're not at 2 for me. I already gave that away. We are at 3. And we haven't talked about this game in an actual segment yet, but we've talked about it on a lot of high fives, and that's Ship Shape, designed by Rob Davio. In Ship Shape, you have these. Is Ship Shape on your list? Because otherwise, I'm just going to rant.
No, also
about
another honorable mention for me.
Yeah, but in Ship Shape, pirate theme. So you got me there. Some weird little mechanics. So you got me there. You have a 3x3 spot that's almost like on a rotating type coaster. Okay, a tic-tac-toe grid. And some of them are filled in with gems or pictures of rats, and others are open. You also have some crew cards in your hand, and you're trying to get things to line up, both with the cards that you're playing out of your hands and what's on the unique crate tiles in front of you. It has some auctioning and bidding, too, that I really enjoy. It's one I haven't played in a long time, and I have in my collection. When I look at my log plays, it's like, man, you kidding me? November 26, 2020 is the last time I played this. I got to get back to Ship Shape. So that's my number 3. Ship Shape. One word.
Yeah. Cool game there. My number 3 is Roll For It, which is designed by guest of the show, Chris Leader. Came out in 2011. Very simple game. I prefer the deluxe edition that comes in a little tin, and it actually just combines. There's a red and a purple edition of Roll For It.
Did you say you like a game that comes in a tin? I'm going to find that, clip it out, and that's going to be my new ringtone for you.
But anyway, Roll For It, you have, I believe, 6 dice, and you roll them, and you are going to assign them to cards, and hopefully assign enough dice to the card to win the card and get the points. And the first person to 40 points wins the game. And it's a quick, dead simple game. You roll your dice, try to assign some, and then the next turn you roll your remaining dice and try to assign them to complete the cards. And maybe somebody will complete the card that you were going for before you. But just a fun little game. So that is, and there's a new version coming out that's a bigger cards, bigger dice. And so that is my number 3 roll for it.
It's awesome.
And then we had your number 2, right? And any more you want to talk about that one, or just
No.
Okay. My number 2 is a game called 12 Days, which came out in 2011 from James Ernst and Mike Selinker. It is a game about giving gifts around the holidays, and you are essentially playing tricks kind of to win each gift. There are 12 days, one for each day of Christmas, and they are ascending point values. So the gift number 1 comes out first, and eventually there will be gift number 12, which will be worth 12 points, and you're trying to win those based on whoever plays the highest card is going to get that. Is that maybe the highest or the lowest? I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. But anyway, so you're doing that to win points along the games. But then at the end of the game, whoever has the most of each type of card at the end of the game is going to win the point values of that card. So, for example, there are 12 Lords of Leaping cards in the deck, and there is 1 Partridge in a Pear Tree in the deck. And whoever has the most 12s at the end of the game is going to get 12 points. So there's this balance of trying to keep your cards in reserve, but also win the point cards along the way as well. I'm really excited because they have a new version called 12 Nights coming out that's going to be themed around the Arthurian
legend,
which will then make it available to play year round. This is one where it's like, well, when the holidays come around, I pull it off, I take it off the shelf and play, and then I kind of forget about it for a year, and it's the middle of July. You don't really feel like playing a Christmas game. So I'm interested in getting that newer version when it comes out to kind of make it more of a year-round game, as strange as that seems to sound. But that's my number 2, 12 Days.
Cool. That's great. Guessing we have crossover here, but I've been 0 for 2, so we'll see if I strike out on the crossover guess. But my number 1 game, designed by Richard Garfield, Hive Mind. Seeing the nod from Doug. So Hive Mind is a party game. I mean, it says it right there on the box and on the BGG description. Hive Mind is awesome. It's been a game of the week. You could check it out here. We've talked about it a lot. But it's a party game that rewards thinking alike, and there are no wrong answers, according to Board Game Geek. Plays 3 to 12 players. So what are you actually doing? Well, let me give you 2 example questions. What are 3 unusual pets? And you would list them. And so you want to, link up with other players at the table so that you can get points and essentially move and stay on the board. What are the 4 best ice cream flavors? So whoever puts down like Rocky
Spumoni.
Road, Spumoni, and Pistachio, you're not going to get that. You got to be thinking like others at the table. We love it in our house. We love playing it with Doug's family. Just a great game. How about you, Doug?
Yeah, all of those things. I think one of the, a lot of games when we talk about them, and it's a kind of a reoccurring theme on the podcast, or something that I'm realizing more and more, is sometimes it's not about the game, it's about the moments and different moments that happen throughout a game. And one of the moments that happens in this game that I love is the bold confidence of answers that people give to crickets that they were so confident about, of like, of course everybody's writing down Spumoni, right? And they just act like that's the number 1 answer. It's like playing Family Feud, and you're so confident that you have answer number 1, so everybody's going to be agreeing with me, and then there's silence around the table. Nobody else put that.
What a weirdo.
And you're getting 0 points. And it happens every game. I've never played a game where this doesn't happen at least once, and probably multiple times, where people are like, I am so tapped into the zeitgeist, I know this one, and write down their answer, and nobody has it. And it just delights me every time it happens. And I think it's one of the funnest moments in gaming happens in this game. So it's my number 1 as well.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add in, it really shows the breadth of a designer. as well. I mean, we're talking about Calliope Games, but Richard Garfield, folks, Magic the Gathering, King of Tokyo. Oh, by the way, did you know he designed one of the most fun party games of all time, Hive Mind?
And did it again with Half Truth?
With Half Truth, yeah. Well, it creates those moments and memories that then get used in future games, right? Like my middle child one time had a clue, dem apples. So now for half the clues that come out, it's like, is Maggie going to write dem apples as a guess? Is that going to score me here? So you have like those unique words as well. So, yep.
All right, so those are our High-Five Calliope games. Let us know in the Discord if there's any that we missed that you love or which ones we mentioned that you also enjoy. Subscribe to the podcast and follow us on X at GameSchoolerU. Again, subscribe our videos on YouTube. We appreciate that. Our Discord, gameschooler.com/Discord, is a great community. Check that out. Next week, we're going to be talking about Zenith. And I want to thank Court for coming on here and talking about what Kosmos has coming up.
Yeah, and speaking of that, once we stopped recording, Court Sackmar wanted to let us know there's going to be a big party that Kosmos is having for Dicey Words at Gen Con. Folks, 10 p.m. on Friday, and we can put a link in the Discord. Somebody just asked for it, and I'll drop it in there. It's a $2 event. Everybody who goes is getting a tumbler. And it sounds like it's going to be a raucous and fun time as they celebrate Dice Words at Gen Con.
Yeah, so thanks, Court, and thank you so much for spending the last hour or so with us. We truly appreciate it.
Now get out there and keep gaming. Tip tap, tip a tap. Game time, baby. Jingling, bang, bang.